let's talk about these TNA lawsuits.
Sure, you lead us, Honk.
Okay, well, I know that you had mentioned Terry Taylor in one with a sexual harassment. Now, this doesn't deviate from Terry's MO by any means, and I don't want to get called in on this because I really don't know it, but every girl wrestler from TNA that I see, I always say, hi, it's that Terry Taylor. Is he trying to put his hands on you? And they say, no, he told us he doesn't do that anymore. But
you know, his problem is Terry's a tortured soul because, honest and truly, I really believe that Jesus for him is not a gimmick. But in the same token, he's got that old worker mentality, and he was just too damn good looking when he broke in.
Well, yeah, and you know, and now we got this girl Daphne. She's popped up on the radar screen with a lawsuit saying that her medical bills weren't paid and things of that nature. I don't know where that's going.
I got a feeling on that one, Honky. I think that one's going to be that one's going to go a lot further than TNA hopes. Well,
let me give you this one, and you can elaborate on it. And this is fans. You know, Hogan says we're all full of shit out here on this show, and we're not telling the truth. But as we reported, Janice Carter has taken over the company, and now it's been publicly said that she is in charge. But you might have been there when another sexual harassment lawsuit was filed, and it was filed by Karen Angle against Dixie Carter's husband.
Okay. Did that go anywhere, Honky?
No, I mean, all you got to say is yes, it did happen or it didn't happen. I mean, from what I understand...
All I can say is I definitely caught word of it.
Okay, so you did catch word of it, and from what we know right now, until someone can verify it, it is considered rumor, but the reason she was, and I don't want, because she's married now to Jeff and everything, and that becomes a family matter, and I don't want to get into that. But if it's the case, I did understand that for her to be rehired, she dropped the lawsuit, and everything was on the up and up at this point. Now, obviously, we have a reporter who broke the story on, who followed up on the Janice Carter story that we broke, and he found out that was true. Now, maybe if he researches this one, we might find out. And I've got Savio Vega. He's sitting there biting at the bit, ready to go on the air, and maybe next week or the week after we get Savio. But Randy, what can you tell us about the behind the scenes of this TNA nonsense?
Since you got Savio on next week, this will be a good place to start. Ask Savio the reason for his termination. I've heard the reason they terminated Savio Vega was that he didn't speak English well enough. How long was he with TNA and he didn't speak English well enough? It took him a year to figure that out?
And he had his whole career with the WWE.
Savio Vega, as Honky knows, probably speaks better English than I do, huh, Honky?
Well, I've been cut off about 5 times tonight. I've never been cut off before. I don't know what's going on. And I'm telling everyone to get on Skype, and I'm getting cut off for some reason.
It's the first time it's happened, but that's live radio for you.
Well, but anyway,
my response.
What? Now, I don't want to get into this other fellow that has some medical problems till we have absolute proof of it, but why would TNA send Ric Flair out and he bleeds gushers and strip him down naked and you know, with all this trouble going on with this hepatitis C?
It's very simple. They don't know the wrestling industry.
Yeah. So you would
I can't tell you how many times. You know, when I was at TNA Wrestling and Honky, you know, we've worked together before in the ring. I was a worker 20-some years before I started getting into the business end of things. And, you know, I can't tell you how many times I raised the concern because when I was the production manager for TNA Wrestling, I'm the guy that had to deal with Universal Studios. I'm the guy that had to deal with Orlando PD. I'm the guy that had to deal with OSHA. And I can't tell you how many times I said, please, have a bit stop bleeding with those double-edged blades all over the crowd. And then what does Ric Flair do? His first real TV time, takes a handful of blood, throws it right into the crowd.
Jesus.
Well, Ric Flair's going to end up either dead or in jail because of that. What about these TNA paychecks now? That's the new story out, Randy, that, apparently the guy that writes the paychecks, he's suffering from some illness and he can't. I mean, Jesus H. Christ. If Dixie, listen, Hogan, if you're listening, call into the show. You said you're in charge. Hell, write a check to these people. Why do you not pay these people on time?
Well, that's the reason that I ended up leaving TNA Wrestling, is I got real uncomfortable, and it started in production. I was responsible for 40 freelance contractors and 20 different vendors. And what happened was right before they renewed the contract and they got that extra money for the 2 hours, they held back on pay for the non-contract folks and the vendors for 14 weeks. And the reason that I was fired was because I became obnoxious about it, Honky. I can't tell you what it's like to have people calling you, grown men crying, because they were told that their check was not just mail but FedEx and their mortgage payment bounced. I can't tell you what it's like to have grown men call and tell me they're going to kill me and slit my throat on the toilet in the building where the pay-per-view is if they don't get their paycheck by pay-per-view day.
Well, I'm glad
they're just trickling that on down. They're trickling it on down to the rest of the company now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, it's like I said, Hogan has gone on record saying whatever we say on this show, we're blowing smoke up people's what, and we're not telling the truth. But, in fact, this, that the vendors weren't paid, and now the wrestlers are not getting paid.
Yep, and I knew it would be only a matter of time then, and I used to say that. Because, I've got friends that are on that roster. And they'd say, why are you getting so nerved up about it? It's just a job. I go, it's not just a job. It's people. It's human beings. I've asked these people to go the extra mile for me, and they have. They're supposed to get paid every 2 weeks, but I got them to settle being paid every 30 days. Now they're doing all this extra work for us. Just wait till they start doing it to the talent, because it's going to happen.
Well, you're right, and that it is happening with the talent, and of course, Dixie's in the doghouse. Daddy! No, wait a minute. Mom! Mom! Like Paris Hilton in the L.A. courthouse, turning around going, because Daddy's not around anymore. Mom! So Mom is
pretty
actually
good, Honky.
I don't want these guys to go out of business. I really don't, because it gives the young guys, and you know this, Randy, it gives the young guys a place to work and everything.
Get guys like yourself. It should get guys like you and Luke a place to work as well. It should give guys like Dutch Mantel, who got their highest ratings, opportunity as well. And that's the biggest problem with that company, is they have no leadership.
Well, they're led by Bitch. Now, we call him Bitchoff here, Randy. Bitchoff.
Yeah, I can't stand him, Honky.
Well, I have to say it now. Everyone wanted to know who my inside source is. It's the guy with the most gray hair. That's the guy that's telling us everything going on in TNA. It's the guy with the most gray hair. Now the fans know who my inside source is in TNA. If that don't get that MF fired, nothing will.
I'll tell you what, he's so he's so dumb, Honky, that if you could get him on this radio show and keep him talking for 2 hours, he would give up all the inside information and not even realize it until he was done.
Well, what he doesn't understand is, for them to avoid us and not come on this show with 25,000 listeners, growing every week, this is our 5th show, by them not coming on the show and explaining what they're...
Okay, we've lost HTM again. This is crazy. We keep cutting out all night long.
That's Skype, huh?
Yeah, we've not had this problem before. It must be an issue with HTM's connection.
Sure.
What do you think of the story that Dixie Carter's been held off TV and she's not appeared and she's not used Twitter because of all of these lawsuits going down?
Well, I think that they're trying to. What I've heard and what I believe is that they. She hasn't realized the severity of it. And of course, you can't blame Janice Carter for not just outright coming in and saying, "You're out, honey." But I think what they're doing is they have got her on a temporary hiatus in her mind. But I think it's going to run a lot deeper, and I don't think it's been officially said to her yet, mother to daughter, or board of directors with your parents on it to daughter, exactly what it is yet. And I think this hiatus is going to end up being a permanent one. They may give her something with the company and some sort of title, but when everything's said and done, she's going to have about as much power with TNA as Jeff Jarrett has.
Let me ask you this, Randy, and I was cut off again, but how much do you think they have lost? How much do you think they lose every year?
It's astronomical, Honky. When I was there and you were in the office and you had access to the D drive. Pardon? 30, 40 million, 50 million? At least. I would say at least 50 million, because if you could see the breakdown on the house shows, they can lose $5,000 to $10,000 on a $40,000 gate.
Well, I just did a house show in Syracuse, New York, Friday night. We had 800 people. Well, any house show with TNA is 800 or less, and they flew in two guys. They flew in me and Road Dogg. So I mean, they fly 30 guys. They lose $8,000.
And I bet you they ran that same area and didn't draw 800 people.
Well, I was in northern Minnesota, and they were 100 miles away. We had 1,600 people, and they had 800.
Sure, that was in North Dakota, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that. I've been up and wrestled in that town, and I think in that exact venue before where there's been 1,500 people. So it's just ridiculous with no TV, The other thing that a lot of folks don't know, and this is gospel as well, TNA gives, the way they try to book most of their venues is at a 25% of the gate, and that's of the gross. On top of that, they kick 10% to an outfit called Monterey Peninsula. So they're already going into these things 35 to 40%, giving that part of the gate to someone else on top of their regular operating nut.
Right. So they're going in with a losing proposition.
Exactly. They may once in a while find a promoter that'll purchase a show, but 9 times out of 10 that doesn't pan out either, and they don't return.
Well, I don't know what promoter would buy a TNA show, but I'd like to find him. Randy Ritchie and myself can sell him a show. And
yeah, no problem. But you know what? We'd probably draw double what TNA would. At least the guy would make money.
And so, rumors are that now that I mean, God forbid if Bitchoff, we're talking Bitchoff, if Bitchoff is the heir apparent, now mind you, the only guy that has the most gray hair there is our inside source has the most gray hair. But if you like how I hammer that home?
Yeah, I love it. I pop every time that you say it.
If they have Bitchoff, and you put it on one of your blogs today, I guess, he loves to spend other people's money. And here's a guy who's driving around Minneapolis selling cold meat out of the back of his pickup truck a few years ago. Now, here's a guy who loves to spend somebody's money, and now he's going to spend Janice Carter and the old man Carter's money. And Randy, I do not get it where these people pop up who open a checkbook and say, we got Hulk Hogan, we got, Ric Flair, we're going to put Vince out of, brother, you're not going to put Vince McMahon out of freaking business.
The biggest mistake they make is forget there's a Vince McMahon. Focus on your own product.
Absolutely. You don't open your business to put someone out of business. You open your business to run your business.
Yeah.
I'm not out here every day on the independents going, guess what? I'm going to take over WWE someday.